I swear to you, there's nothing on it, my husband said calmly, just as the backup drive powered on by itself and his voice filled the room, whispering another woman's name. The sound didn't rush out. It crept. A low hum, then a click, then audio, unmistakable, intimate, alive. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stood there while my entire marriage rearranged itself in my head in the span of 10 seconds. Pause it, he said too quickly. I didn't. The voice coming from the speakers wasn't angry. It wasn't rushed. It was soft, familiar. The voice he used with me when we were still trying, when we still believed in things. I miss you, his voice said. I hate pretending at home. I turned to him slowly. You said nothing was hidden. He didn't answer. He just stared at the floor like it might open up and take him with it. I'm 36. I manage operations for a regional logistics firm in Denver. I've always been the one people describe as steady, dependable, not dramatic. That word, dramatic, followed me my whole life like a warning label I worked hard to disprove. My husband, Aaron, and I had been married for 11 years. Together for 13. Long enough to stop counting anniversaries with excitement and start counting them with quiet pride. We didn't fight loudly. We didn't slam doors. We did something worse. We drifted. He stopped asking about my day. I stopped correcting him when he forgot details. We learned how to coexist politely, efficiently, like colleagues who once dated. Still, I trusted him. Not blindly. Intentionally. Which made that moment, standing in our home office, surrounded by filing cabinets and cables, feel like public humiliation without an audience. The kind that stains you privately. I can explain, he finally said. I nodded. Not because I believed him. Because I wanted to hear how far he'd go. He reached for the keyboard. I moved it away. No, I said. Let it play. His jaw tightened. The audio continued. Her voice now. Laughing. Intimate in a way that doesn't belong to strangers. I felt something sink. Not my heart. My identity. Because suddenly, I wasn't a wife. I was an obstacle. We'd argued a week earlier about storage space. About why he insisted on keeping an old external backup drive connected to his laptop. It's just archives, he said then. Old work files. Nothing personal. I remember how calm he was. How confident. And how stupid I felt now for believing that calm meant honesty. The recording ended. Silence took its place. That's not what you think, he said. I smiled. It surprised both of us. Then tell me, I said, what I'm supposed to think when my husband records his private conversations with another woman and hides them on a drive he swore was empty. He rubbed his hands together. A nervous habit. It wasn't supposed to go that far. There it was. The phrase that always comes right before the truth finishes undressing. I sat down. Not because I was weak, because I needed control. Sitting meant I wouldn't shake. How long? I asked. He hesitated. How long? I repeated quieter. 8 months. 8 months. That meant birthdays. Holidays. My promotion dinner. The night my mother was hospitalized, and he told me he'd handle everything, while he was secretly recording voice notes for someone else. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I asked, does she know you're married? Yes. Another clean answer. No hesitation this time. And she was fine with that? He shrugged. She understands me. That sentence hurt more than the recordings. Because it meant he had rewritten our entire history somewhere else. With someone who never saw the sacrifices, the compromises, the years. Someone who only saw the version of him that felt misunderstood. So what am I? I asked. He looked at me then. Really looked. You're stable, he said carefully. You're my life. I laughed once. Sharp. Broken. No, I said. I'm your cover. The conversation stalled there. Not because we were done, but because something inside me shut a door. Later that night, after he fell asleep on the couch, I went back into the office alone. I plugged the drive into my laptop. Folders. Dates. Names. It wasn't just audio. There were expense spreadsheets rerouted. Hotel confirmations under neutral file names. Calendar entries erased and rebuilt. A system, not passion. Logistics. That realization changed everything. This wasn't a man who lost his way. This was a man who made space for betrayal and labeled it organization. I sat there until dawn, scrolling through proof, feeling smaller with every file, not because of shame, but because I finally understood how carefully I'd been minimized. When the sun came up, I closed the laptop. I didn't confront him again that morning. I went to work, because something told me this wasn't the moment to react. It was the moment to see clearly. And clarity, I would soon learn, is far more dangerous than anger. I didn't confront him right away. That surprised even me. Instead, I watched him. I noticed how easily he slipped back into routine, how betrayal for him hadn't disturbed the rhythm of his day at all. He brushed his teeth, packed his lunch, asked if I wanted coffee like we were still a shared sentence. I said no. That word tasted unfamiliar. Powerful. For the next 3 days, I lived inside my own head. I answered emails, led meetings, smiled at coworkers. And every night, I came home and sat across from a man who believed silence meant forgiveness was loading. On the 4th night, I told him to sit down. We chose the dining table. Neutral territory. No couch. No bedroom. No comfort. I went through the drive, I said. He nodded once. I figured. No, I replied. You hoped I wouldn't. That landed. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't list files. I didn't dramatize anything. I stayed factual, because facts don't need emotion to hurt. You organized the affair, I said. You planned it, budgeted for it, archived it. He leaned back, defensive now. It wasn't an affair. I stared at him. You recorded her voice. You hid it. You lied to my face. What would you like to call it? He sighed, irritated, not guilty. This is exactly why I didn't tell you, he said. You make everything heavier than it needs to be. There it was. Gaslighting doesn't shout. It shrugs. So my feelings, I said slowly, don't matter to you. He didn't answer immediately. Then, I didn't say that. You didn't have to. He looked tired, like I was a task. I stayed, didn't I, he said. I come home. I provide. I didn't leave you. I felt something collapse in my chest, not heartbreak. Expectation. So that's love to you? I asked. Presence without honesty? He rubbed his face. You don't understand how lonely I was. That sentence almost worked. Almost. Because for a second, I remembered nights waiting up for him. Remembered reaching for him in bed while he rolled away. Remembered asking, softly, are we okay? I had been lonely too. The difference was I didn't outsource my dignity. You had a choice, I said. Talk to me. Leave me. Stay and be honest. You chose deception. He finally snapped then, not angry, just sharp. Because you were convenient, he said. You made life easier. The room went very still. I never said I loved her, he added quickly. That doesn't mean anything. I looked at him, really looked, and saw the truth underneath the words. I never loved you, he said quietly. Not the way you needed. That was the line. The one people think will destroy you. It didn't. It clarified everything. I stood up. My legs were shaking, but my voice wasn't. Then we're done, I said. He blinked. What? I won't compete with convenience, I said. I won't beg someone who never chose me. He scoffed. You're overreacting. No, I replied. I'm finally reacting correctly. That night, I broke. Not in front of him. In the shower. On the floor. Fully clothed. Water cold. I cried until my throat burned. Until my chest hurt. Until I didn't recognize the woman sobbing into her own knees. Because I wasn't just losing a husband. I was losing the version of myself that believed loyalty would be returned simply because it was given. The next morning, something shifted. I stopped checking his location. Stopped wondering if he was texting her. Stopped asking myself what I did wrong. Instead, I asked a better question. Why did I stay quiet so long? I realized how often I'd minimized myself to keep peace. How often I'd chosen understanding over boundaries. How often I'd been mature while being quietly erased. That's when begging ended, not dramatically. Silently. I contacted a lawyer during lunch. I opened a separate bank account. I stopped explaining myself to him entirely. He noticed. "You're being cold," he said one night. "No," I replied. "I'm being accurate." For the first time, he looked afraid. Because manipulation only works when the other person still hopes. And hope? I was done feeding it. I didn't leave immediately. That surprised people when they eventually learned the truth. They expected drama. Bags packed in the night. A slammed door. But real endings are quieter. For weeks, we existed in parallel. He slept in the guest room. I reclaimed the bedroom without ceremony. We spoke only when logistics required it. Groceries. Mail. Bills. He tried once to regain control. "I never thought you'd actually walk away," he said, standing in the doorway like he still belonged there. "I didn't walk away," I replied. "I stepped back. You revealed the rest." That was the last personal sentence I ever gave him. The divorce process wasn't cinematic. It was administrative. Emails. Forms. Waiting rooms with outdated magazines and neutral faces. He tried to be agreeable, too agreeable, as if cooperation could rewrite betrayal into something mutual. It couldn't. When we divided assets, he hesitated over the backup drive. "You don't need that," he said. "It's just old data." I looked at him evenly. "Neither do you." I kept it, not as leverage, not as revenge, but as proof that my intuition hadn't betrayed me. I had ignored it long enough. Moving out felt strange. Not sad. Strange. I took what was mine and left the rest exactly where it was. I didn't cleanse the space or rage clean the shelves. I let him live among the echoes of his choices. My new apartment was smaller, quieter, imperfect, and honest. The first night alone, I sat on the floor eating takeout from the container. No table, no TV, just silence. And I realized something unsettling. I felt relief. Not joy. Not triumph. Relief. Like I'd been holding my breath for years without realizing it. Healing didn't arrive all at once. It came in fragments. The first time I slept through the night without checking my phone. The first weekend I made plans without explaining them. The first time I laughed and didn't feel guilty for surviving. Aaron tried once more. He sent a message at 11:43 p.m. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I just didn't know how to leave." I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. Because that wasn't remorse. That was confession without accountability. I learned something important during those months. People who betray you rarely believe they're cruel. They believe they're trapped. And in that belief, they excuse everything. I didn't need closure from him. I needed alignment with myself. So I set boundaries, real ones, legal ones, emotional ones. I stopped explaining why I left. I stopped softening the story to make others comfortable. I stopped carrying his shame like shared luggage. When people asked what happened, I said, "He wasn't honest. I chose myself." That was enough. One evening, months later, I powered on the backup drive one last time. Not to relive anything. To close it. I listened to the first recording again, not with pain, but with distance. I heard his voice the way you hear an actor in an old film. Familiar. No longer personal. I shut the drive down. I didn't destroy it. I archived it. Just like he had. Because that's where it belonged. In the past, labeled clearly, no longer hidden. If you're listening to this and you're doubting yourself, feeling like you need more proof, more certainty, more permission to leave, hear this. Betrayal doesn't always come loudly. Sometimes it whispers through systems, patterns, and silence. And dignity doesn't announce itself either. It shows up the moment you stop negotiating your worth. I didn't win anything when I left my husband. I reclaimed something. My clarity. My boundaries. My name without compromise. And that was enough.